Yo, I'm Vincent Powell. I am a filmmaker, director, producer, and a professor out of Houston, Texas, and I'm here to talk a little bit more about Sinners and the idea of Black Renaissance, August Wilson, and vampires in IMAX. Sinners just had one of the second strongest weekends in recent film history, stronger than even Quentin Tarantino in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but some people aren't writing about that. But $45 million isn't shabby, it's just a 6% drop, and that's bigger than Revenge of the Sith's release. And this is not a superhero flick, this is just a black horror film set in Mississippi, written and directed by Ryan Coogler, and that matters. Not just because it's an original, not just because it's cinematic, but because it's a continuation of something bigger, something sacred, right? This is the second and final video in my breakdown of Sinners, but today I wanted to go a little deeper and go from the legacy of black horror to the blues of Clarksdale to, of course, August Wilson and his fingerprints all over the frame. This is what happens when genre collides with genius. Let's talk about horror for a second. And it's not just horror, it's horror and history, because Sinners doesn't stand alone, right? It stands on the shoulders of Blackula and Ganja and Hess and Tales from the Hood and Vampire in Brooklyn and the original Candyman, all these black horrors that came before then. And then there was a shift. And in more recent time, Jordan Peele cracks the ceiling with Get Out in 2017. Then he kept it going with Us and Nope. And then in the future, we've got him coming. And he even produced Nikiatu Jusu's Sundance hit, Nanny, which follows this Senegalese immigrant through New York. She's a nanny, and she's trying to confront this hidden truth that's going to threaten her American dream. Anyway, each of these films explore this horror, explore the idea of horror distinctly through a black lens that's rooted in trauma, culture, memory, and sometimes survival. Especially when I bring up Misha Green's Lovecraft Country on HBO or Max. His mama called him HBO, I'm gonna call him HBO, whatever you want to call it. It's still out there, please go watch it. My students get tired of me talking about it, but I show it every semester because what Ryan is doing with Sinners isn't new. It's part of this same evolution, this same spirit, this same lifting, that it's not just horror for horror's sake, it's horror for heritage's sake. The idea of Clarksdale, Mississippi, right? Why Mississippi? Why the Delta? Why the blues? Because Sinners is not just about vampires. It's about soul. It's about survival. And the blues has always been that. Black people have been naming pain and finding power in naming, right? Brian Foster wrote a book, I Don't Like the Blues, and he asked us to see the blues not just as music, but as memory, as place, as identity. And you can tell a book like that becomes the framework of the film. The land, the lineage, the lingering spirits. Sinners, the blues isn't just heard, it's felt. It's in the cinematography, it's in the silence, it's in the soil. And as I sat in silence and watched the film, I realized that Ryan Coogler and I have the same type of taste in theatrical stage plays. As I was watching it, I was like, yo, this kind of feels like August Wilson's Piano Lesson or Ma Rainey's Black Bottom if they would have like got together and had a baby in a juke joint on top of a graveyard, right? and you can feel August Wilson in this film. The reverence for history, the tension between families and the living and the dead, the way that black music is a character in the story. You can feel 7 guitars, 2 trains running, and of course, go watch all this. Piano Lessons on Netflix, Fences on Netflix, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on Netflix. Denzel Washington has the whole IP, and he's releasing them piece by piece. This whole catalog that August Wilson did over a century, cataloging decades of blackness in America through his films. And I'm really grateful that my high school theater teacher, Freddie Buckner, was the one that put me on game. And as a teen, he introduced me to the works of Pearl Cleage and Lorraine Hansberry and George C. Wolfe and the amazing August Wilson. And because of that, I don't write the same. I don't direct the same. And neither, I believe, does Ryan. See, Coogler knows that it's about community. He brought back his core team, his cinematographer, Autumn Duro-Arkapaw, his editor, Michael P. Shaver, his production designer, Hannah Beechler, Oscar award-winning production designer, his Oscar award-winning costume designer, Ruth Carter, and of course, his composer, Ludwig Göransson. And that's not just a sign of loyalty. It's really a sign of trust. And it's something that has to be said about intentional collaboration. It's vital to creative excellence. And the goal is not to just be excellent to win trinkets and awards, but to raise awareness. And if that's done the right way, the accolades will come, right? And I think they're going to get some accolades for the magic they did with sound in this movie because, again, it's shot in IMAX, Panavision 70, big, loud cameras, and they did this with minimal ADR. That means that they didn't go in and have them have to repeat the lines over and over. They did some, but not a lot, right? That's magic. Michael B. Jordan using the Halo system for the facial tracking to play the twin roles. That was important, right? You got to think about David Fincher and what he did with Armie Hammer and The Social Network 15 years ago. Still one of my favorite movies. I love the dialogue. I love the pacing. But you take that 15 years ago and then multiply it by advanced tech and Southern Gothic, and you get the magic that Ryan and his team did technically. And man, you can just feel the shift happening in real time. Like Sinners as a box office hit, the critical acclaim, the audience obsession, social media and conversations full of it. We're no longer waiting to be validated. We're defining the space. Again, as we do over and over, Hollywood now has to reckon with the fact that original, Black-led, deeply rooted stories are bankable. As if Black Panther didn't prove it, right? We still have to prove the brilliance. And they're coming. These stories are coming whether the machine is ready or not. This is not the trend, it's a pivot. If you made it this far, thank you. This video isn't just for fans of Sinners, it's for students of Black cinema. It's for contemporaries and luminaries like Tanana Reeve Dew, who are amazing contributors to the idea of archiving, advocating, and elevating the idea of Black story and Black horror over decades, right? This is a win for Ryan, sure it is. It's a win for the team, sure it is. But it's also for the genre, it's also for the canon, it's also for the culture. And that's what excites me. I'd love to see in the comments what some of your favorite Black horror films are, or what your first favorite one that got under your skin in a good way. Drop it in the comments. Because if Sinners taught us anything, it's taught us that bloodlines run deep and that real stories never die.